Welcome to the January 9th, 2024 meeting of the USD 305 Board of Education. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. It's great to see everyone here this evening. We do have an agenda ready for this evening's meeting. Is there a request for approval of the agenda? Ms. Zimmerman.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Ms. Schamberger seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Move into the first item on our agenda this evening, recognitions and presentations with Ms. Jennifer Camian.
Good evening. Today we're going to recognize our Renaissance Teachers of the Month, September through December 2023. Renaissance teachers are recognized through radio announcements, social media posts on ksal.com and our website, and with a $25 gift from First Bank, Kansas. Will the Renaissance teachers please join Superintendent Exline in the front of the room at this time? As I call your name, please step toward Superintendent Exline, if you'd like to line right up. Yep. Thank you. All right. So from Central High School, we have Kira Gilbert, Spanish, Trey Cullens, English, Jennifer Buchholz, Special Education, Science and Math, Kevin Patrick, Science. Lakewood Middle School, we have Jesse Smith, Guitar and Music, Aaron Coons, Reading, Chelsea Crawford Klein, U.S. History, and Rebecca Stone, Family and Consumer Sciences. South High School, Cameron Magnell, Roving, Shelby Mann, Chemistry, Charlie Todd, Science. In South Middle School, we have Tabitha Dines, English, Kathy Clark, Science, Jeff Vogt, Social Studies Science, Daryl Dees, Music, and Justin Ebert of Social Studies from South High wasn't able to be here this evening as well. Will you please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you now?
Thank you. It's always great to be able to recognize the staff who work so hard for our students. We really appreciate you. The next item we have on our agenda this evening is approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the December 12th, 2023 regular meeting, the personnel report, the financial reports, which include the December's bills list, the November treasurer's report, November investment report, November journal entries, to approve the encumbrance listings, to Converge 1 in the amount of $22,032 for the subscription renewal of the dual multi-factor authentication software and services, to Dell for the purchase of Chromebooks, and to Google Chrome licenses in the amount of $573,019. To School Health for the purchase of AED units in the amount of $29,325. To approve requests to apply for Elementary Secondary Education Act School Improvement Section 1003A funds in the amount of $604,898. Sorry about that. To approve the Kansas Preschool Pilot Grant application in the amount of $189,800. to approve the resolution to establish election of school board officers, and to approve the resolution to establish board's regular meeting dates. Is there a motion regarding the consent agenda? Mr. Grant?
I move we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Motion, Ms. Zimmerman seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Oppose, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Next thing we'll move to is the public forum, and we do not have any request to speak at the public forum this evening, so we'll move to our action agenda. And the first item we have is board representative appointments with Superintendent Exline.
Thank you. We just simply need for the board to approve the appointments to the different committees. All of those are exactly the same, except with Paul being new, we need to appoint his committee membership. And so if there are any questions, I'm happy to entertain those, or if not, we just need a motion for approval.
Mr. Grant?
Mr. President, I move we approve the 2023-2024 board representative appointments as presented.
Thank you. Ms. Casso seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Next item on our agenda this evening. Computer's going the wrong way. Next item we have is the summer school with Ms. Rector.
Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and go over our recommendations for the summer school program. Earlier this fall, you did get a report from Jody Craddock-Island on the performance and the activities that happened last summer. And so as we talk through the general information for summer school, we would be looking at summer school window from May 28th through July 2nd, with the majority of the activities actually happening through June 3rd through July 2nd. The elementary programs, middle school programs, and high school programs will be funded with at-risk dollars and ESSER funds, and the tuition will be accepted for the enrichment class, which is a welding class, an elective class that they can take, ACT preparation, and then also the driver's education classes. This year, the secondary programs will be at South High School, except for our welding class, which will be at Central High School due to the facilities. And then at our elementary buildings, we will have Cottonwood and Sunset as our locations for elementary. And right now, we are projecting that we will have 2 locations for elementary. Transportation is provided to the high school, middle school, and elementary students, and lunch is also available to all students. And this year, the lunch program will be basically from that June 3rd to July 2nd date. Any students that are needing support with lunch that are taking the ACT preparation class, we will work with them to make sure that they have lunch. But the lunch program, I believe, is going to be from June 3rd to July 2nd. The enrollment process is where we'll publicize information, and that will be shared by all schools, and they send information out to their families, and then we also provide information on the website. And that's where we kind of finalize some of those final details and get information out to our parents. So for the high school information, you'll see that we have an ACT preparation class. We have been able to do this class for many years. With the ACT prep, that test is actually in June, and so that is why we need to have that open from May 28th through June 7th to give them a little bit of extra time there to be able to prepare for that test. Driver's education, it's going to have some variation on when our students are involved with that because they do have a schedule for driving. They have to meet the state and the Department of Motor Vehicle recommendations and requirements. But we will have basically 3 different class sessions that they will be able to complete, and information goes out to the families within that enrollment information to make sure that they know all the things they need to do for driver's ed. And that's a continuation of programs that we've been able to offer for many years. Now, this year will be the second year, let me page down, This will be the second year that we've been able to offer Metals 2. And like I said, that will happen at Central High School. And this really gives us an opportunity to enroll more students in that Metals 2 class. That space is limited in our facilities for the Welding 1 program and the Metals 1 and Metals 2. So this really expands that, and then also lets students have access to that curriculum during that summer program. And the teacher that teaches it at Central High School will continue to do that, but it will meet all of the curriculum objectives of the program that's during the year. And so they would be able to finish that Metals 2 class, and they would also be eligible to do concurrent college credit, like we were able to do that last year with Salina Area Technical Education. And we provide details for that to the families as they register. And then the credit recovery courses, which is really kind of the mainstay of our secondary high school offerings. And so we have math, English, social studies, science, and speech available. And they use an Edgenuity, which is a computer-based software program that provides the curriculum work. And each year the teachers work to look through that and to make sure that that is prepared for students. There are 2 sessions with that one. And one of the things that we're able to do, and our teachers are so flexible, is sometimes we have students that are able to actually get through more than just 2 classes, because they will then be able to finish a class and then go on to another class. So they work really closely with what the students are needing, and the counselors identify the coursework there. At the middle school, one of the things that we're able to do there is to look at real-world projects, and we have one time frame for the middle school, and it is from 8 to 11. It also happens at South High School, and so we have all of the secondary programming happening at South High School except for that welding class. Then we have the elementary school information is on here, and elementary really focuses on both math and reading, and students may be involved with both of those, or they may decide that maybe only reading or math is needed, and so the teachers work very closely with the parents in looking at what skills that they need to work on to be able to identify those. And then also throughout throughout the whole session is they also focus on that social emotional learning and really weave that in to support the students. And then we have that from 8 to 1. And so they actually kind of eat lunch in the middle of that time frame. So it really is a nice time for our students to have access to that, building those skills, and then also having that lunch program available to them. And then our summer school personnel this year, we have our new director for the secondary programs, and that is Melanie Hammond. And we have Janae Brin is returning to us for the elementary programs, and we actually will be hiring one more director. And so we will be replacing a director that has is not going to be taking on that opportunity this year. So they are in the middle of looking through those applications, and will be offering that soon. And so basically our summer school program is very similar to what we've had in the past. And with the really the only change is that we are no longer offering the computer applications course. That was we had very limited enrollment in that course, and as we find with the number of classes that our students are able to take during the school year, we just don't see that need for that computer applications course. And so that is something that has been removed from the summer school roster. Are there any questions? Yes.
I just have to ask, Edgenuity is mostly between the computer and the student, and seems odd to take a speech class on Edgenuity. Do you have any idea how they do that?
So one of the things that actually, that's kind of one that's just a little bit different. They have some programming that's actually Edgenuity, but the majority of that programming actually is the students they do a speech, they provide the speech to the teacher. So there is some interface between teacher and student, especially in that speech class.
Thank you.
How do you measure the impact of the prep for the ACT as far as the students?
One of the things that the teacher does is that he does go through and look at all of the scores, and looks at all of the assessments, and if they've taken any other practice tests beforehand, or if they've taken that test. We have not gathered that data in the past as a district to be able to compare what did they do on that ACT score. So that is something that we can bring to you next year and be able to say that how many of them increased their scores maybe from previous scores, or maybe what the range of their scores are. We'll bring that to you in August.
Ms. Costello?
in both both the secondary and elementary
How many offerings or
openings.
openings? How many teachers? I'm actually going to turn and look
No,
at.
for students.
Oh, for students. Jody, can you remember how many we offered last year?
About 250 per building for the elementary buildings, and I think it was a little over like 300 maybe for secondary. How many for secondary? A little over 300.
And one of the things that we do is that as we look at our enrollment, we do actually try to hire more teachers than maybe what we're going to need. And so that's one of the conversations that the directors have with the staffing, is that really we try to make sure that we have staff aligned for larger numbers than maybe what we've had in the past, just to be ready for that.
Trying to reflect my memory, and I don't recall that we've ever had more than we could accommodate, although that would be nice, right? Do you remember the enrollment numbers from last year? I remember we've looked at them, but I don't
You know
have them on
what?
the
I
top of
should
my
have
head.
probably brought all of that with me, and so I did not bring the enrollment numbers from last year. But right now, what we heard was that we had about 300 at the high school and about 250 at each elementary building. And we were able to serve the students that we had at the high schools. We did not have any students that we had to turn away at the high schools, and we did limit the elementary based upon the enrollment numbers, or upon staffing numbers. Jody, do you want to continue on with that?
I'm sorry, I was trying to look up numbers.
We may have had in the elementary, we really were only able to offer the number of elementary slots based upon the staffing that we had. And so one of the things that they do is they look at all of the needs of those students by grade. And we offered more classes for the elementary at the lower grade levels than we did at the higher grade levels. I did not get as directly involved with that information. But I can bring that back to you at the next meeting if you'd like.
I guess I don't want to turn students away, but I also know that staffing has got to be considered. And that puts us in a tough situation. We've got to be respectful of our staff and things. Any way we could offer opportunity to all students, so that'd be the goal.
One of the things that we had a couple of years ago, remember when we did the double summer school, and we offered summer school in June and offered summer school in July to be able to kind of make up for that COVID year? When we did that, that really was very difficult for our staff. And we heard very loud and clear that having a June and a July summer school session was too much. And so, we are very cognizant of that. As we look at the calendar that we have this year, we are going a little bit into July, but trying to end that before the July 4th holiday. And we also have Juneteenth that is in the middle of the summer school. So that kind of gives the teachers a break as well. And so as we think through what we need to do for our teachers, there is some staff development that happens ahead of time, so that way that they are able to prepare. The other thing that we did is that as you look at this calendar, you'll see that we started on starting on that June 3rd date, and the reason for that is to give teachers a little bit of time before the end of from the end of the school year to when summer school starts, so they can access their classrooms, so they can look at their class rosters, and so really trying to build in that time component to support teachers.
There's no doubt that the challenge we have is making sure that we can have staff and be respectful of them too. So we appreciate everything they do and want to support them. If there's anything we need to be aware of, I think at the board level, we definitely want to make sure we are to help support that as well.
At the end of each summer school session, they do get feedback from staff. And so when Mrs. Craddock Island submitted that information earlier in the year, it really had some very positive comments from the teachers, feeling that they had the adequate time to prep and then also felt supported. We've added some additional social worker aspect to it, and making sure too, having the two directors in the two buildings, what that allows us is to have a smaller number of students at a particular elementary, and I think that also supports them. At the high school level, one of the things that we make sure is that as the teachers are working with students, trying to align them maybe to students that they also know from their classes. So if it's a South teacher, they'll get South students in that class, and a Central student, they'll get Central students. And then also there was a lot of feedback from the middle school staff that said, you know, that 3 hours is a difficult time frame to keep middle school students involved. And so one of the things that they did was try to bring in more community work, and that I know is a thing that they're going to be looking at for as they plan for this summer.
I do have an answer for you on what happened in 2022. I've been digging. There were 577 elementary compared to, it sounded like about 500 last year, so very similar, really. And then there were 70 middle school students and 513 high school students that year. So we were a little bit down at high school with that more 300 number. So,
Thank you, Mrs. Exley.
Any other questions regarding this? This is on our action agenda. Is there a motion regarding summer school?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zimmerman?
I move that we approve the 2024 summer school programs as presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Ms. Schamberger seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Rector.
I will say it's a little sad as a student who made the bright idea or had the bright idea in the spring to take computer apps in the summer. I'm sad that our students won't have that opportunity anymore to do it with Mr. Stewart at 7 a.m. at Central High School for a whole month. That was quite the experience, I will say.
That experience for you.
I'm all good. I'm all good.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the course proposal with Dr. Stevens.
Okay, good evening. Tonight I'm bringing forward on the discussion agenda the 8th grade weightlifting class. And just want to start out by saying that the 8th grade PE class that's currently offered, this would become an option for our students to either take PE or weightlifting. It's only during the 8th grade year. And because of that, we would be utilizing the same staff. So it does not require us to add any personnel to offer this. The addition of the weightlifting and to the PE units would still have the same type of curriculum. One added piece would just be they would have the opportunity to go into the weightlifting lab and focus on technique. So that's the primary emphasis of this program. The course will center on improving one's strength, power, flexibility, speed, cardiovascular fitness, muscular endurance, agility, and skill development, and really focus on safety. What we found is that students, as they move into high school, if they have been lifting one way and then they're learning the technique after they've started that process, it's kind of similar to my skills in learning typing, in that I learned it one way and then I went into a teacher that was not Mr. Stewart and was having to relearn the typing sequence. So this allows us to help ensure safety. 8th grade students, again, will have the choice to take either PE or weightlifting, and then we'll divide those courses to where it'll balance and we can utilize our existing staff. The classes are capped at 24, primarily due to obviously safety, but also space. And by doing the schedule and talking to both principals, that is something that, again, does not require any additional personnel. And so if there's any questions that you have regarding this proposal, be open to taking them. I just want to state in here as well that the athletic directors at the high school, as well as numerous teachers, have been very helpful in kind of researching the pieces of this. The medical community, we have a couple of comments from them as well, just that this is something that can help and keep students safe and prevent athletic injuries later, or any injuries for that matter. A couple local medical providers have been included in this research as well. Okay.
Any questions for Dr. Stevens?
I'd make a motion if that would be okay.
It is on our discussion agenda, or you want to make a motion to move it to action?
Sure.
Mr. Grant?
I move we approve the course proposal for 8th grade weightlifting as presented.
Ms. Casso seconds. Any discussion?
I would
Ms. Zimmerman?
just ask if there any reason you think we should ponder this another month.
I don't. Having said that, it's on the discussion agenda, and so if you choose to do that as a board, certainly welcome to do it. One of the advantages, if you decide to move it to the action, would just be, action item would be it allow us to start procuring the pieces in the scheduling process. Having said that, I work with some fantastic professionals at the building level, and we will honor your wishes, so.
I would say that if you are open to it, that it would be helpful to go ahead and approve this tonight. This is a proposal that we've been working on for probably a year and a half in athletic board. And I've been asking for more information and asked for them to talk to some physical therapists to make sure that developmentally we were okay. And we've done a lot of cost projections on equipment and what we have at the high school that we can share down. So this is, there has been extensive conversation about the addition of this course, the staffing of it, and the appropriateness of it for our students, and just the additional option for students. There aren't a lot of options at middle school, and maybe giving another choice makes that a little bit more engaging and encourages healthy lifestyle.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. Next item on our agenda this evening is the visible learning update with Ms. Rector again.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you. And I'm actually going to just give a really quick update. I'll bring more back to you in February because I know that we have a work session this evening to be able to talk a little bit more about student needs and so forth. So with visible learning, just last Wednesday, we had the opportunity to bring our teachers back for their professional development day, and we had consultants come from Corwin, and so they provide what they called the visible teacher. And the visible teacher professional development really was focused on how do the teachers look at the impact that they have in the classroom, and what are some of those really kind of key things that they do to be able to support student learning. And so they talked a lot about learning intentions. And so learning intentions basically is how the teacher communicates what they're going to accomplish in the class that day, and what is that learning that that teacher is going to be working with the students on. And then they also looked at what was called success criteria. And the success criteria is a mechanism for the students to understand, okay, I will have met that learning intention when I can do this, or when I know this. And so they've talked about this a little bit in August, but this was an opportunity to go a little bit deeper. When we think about professional development, it's all about, you build your knowledge and then you start thinking about how do you apply it. So this gave the teachers a chance to come back in January, build on knowledge that they gathered in August, and that they will continue to build on as we go through and continue to work with the visible learning consultants. And so at Lakewood, we actually had all of our secondary buildings. So all of the general education teachers from the 2 middle schools and the 2 high schools were at Lakewood. And then at Central High School, we had all 8 of the elementary buildings there. And so they had 2 consultants that worked with them. And I know I was able to be at the elementary, and it was an action-packed day where the teachers were pretty much busy the entire time. They each get a workbook to be able to kind of, to have some background knowledge, but then also to use that as they kind of go into their classrooms. So they did some small group work. They even kind of they brought the buildings together, their whole staff and principals kind of jumped up and joined in, and then kind of processed some things with the whole buildings, and they did that as well at the secondary. So really it was a day to build teacher knowledge, to start thinking about how it applies in the classroom. They provided a lot of examples of some different schools and what that might look like. And then they also talked a little bit about student dispositions. So what are those characteristics that schools are building within the students, and starting to really identify what those are going to look like at the schools. And so when I come back in February, I'll talk a little bit more details about kind of the work that each building has already done. One of the things that we have coming up for our leadership teams at each building is in February, we have a day for elementary leadership teams to come together, and they'll be working with Karen Flores, who most of you have met earlier. And then the next day would be secondary buildings to be able to do that same kind of work. So we differentiate that way, so that way she can really focus on what is the elementary needs and then focus on what are the secondary needs. And so these leadership teams will be bringing back the data they've been collecting since October. And we'll start talking about, okay, now how do we start to build that into action? Take us into next school year. So we're really excited about that. And then later on in February, we'll also have an Impact Day, which will be kind of a follow-up, kind of working with, the Impact Coach Day, which will be a follow-up of some work that was done in December, and so kind of building the capacity of some of those key individuals in the building. And so we have a pretty busy February with visible learning, and I'm really excited to be able to kind of bring back some things in the spring to show you examples of what they have already kind of embraced and implemented in each of the buildings. Any questions?
Any questions? The only thing I can say is I know I've heard from a few teachers, and it's been insightful for them. As they've looked at a few things, they're going, okay, this is some things we need to work on too. And I think that's been great.
It's really being able to honor their expertise that they have, but recognizing that we're all learners and that what we know we can take deeper and we can apply. Differently than maybe we had applied it in the past. So hopefully building on their skills and then being able to really show what kind of impact they can have with their students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we have this evening is our school board reports and upcoming dates of importance. Real quick, the upcoming events we've got, we do have a tour at Salina Adult Education on the 24th of January, 8:30 to 10. Hopefully everyone can attend. On February 3rd, we have our new board member training. By the way, welcome Paul this evening. So anyone who'd like to attend that together, we'd be happy to have everyone there. The 27th of February, we do have a work session scheduled. Same with March 26th with KASB, and April 10th, we have a building visit scheduled at Stewart from 10 to 11:30, so hopefully everyone can attend that. For board members, we'll start with you, Ms. Zimmerman.
Yes, I want to mention that on the March 26th event, it's at 5 o'clock, which I'm going to have trouble remembering that it's at 5 o'clock. So I thought I'd help you all remember. My report only includes the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, just to say they finished the pickleball courts in Oakdale Park, where the tennis courts used to be, and they repaired and improved the Sunset Park Armed Services Memorial. That's all. Thank you.
Ms. Casso?
I attended the Smoky Hill Education Meeting, and there's just a lot of staffing changes going on there, so we're just kind of growing a little bit.
Thank you. Ms. Schamberger?
Okay. Attended partially the visible learning and then the parks, which I enjoyed, and the Parks and Rec board meeting, which Ann told you about. And then I was talking to, this is good news. I was talking to an ISS teacher in our district, and she loves her job. And she said that she has 5 golden rules, and she established in her room, number 1 is you love them no matter what. Number 2, you have a calm face and a calm body and a calm voice. You set the boundaries, you respect, and unwavering. You respect them and expect them to respect you back, which is working, and you don't add fuel to the fire. And so she said she goes early and she creates an atmosphere where they can come in and do their work and not just, like be upset and things. But she loves it, and she said at the end of this past semester there were 15 less students than she had the year before, which means you guys are doing a great job. The ISS is going down. And that's cool. So, I'm thinking just thank you for all showing up and for doing such a good job with our kids. And we appreciate you guys.
Mr. Grant.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Gardner.
Heartland, we didn't meet. We will be meeting this coming Thursday due to the holidays. Also got to take in the wrestling tournament at South this weekend, and that was a challenge. It was standing room only. I stood for 6 hours, and there was literally no place to sit. So it's a great tournament, but I talked with the AD because that is challenging when you've got athletes that are just standing there because there's nowhere to go. So it was excellent to see our kids competing. They did a great job. You'd be proud of them. But, you know, we've got some challenges because it is growing so much. And our coaches were just running from one mat to the other mat trying to stay up with the kids. At times we had 3 wrestling at the same time, and we just didn't have enough coaches to go around. So I commend them for what they're doing. So it was a great tournament.
Very good, very good. Mr. Gebhardt?
But as of yesterday, starting on, I'm excited to be on the board here and look forward to working with everybody throughout the community to try to navigate everything we got to do throughout this educational process in our community. And it's exciting. So, thank you.
Very good, thank you. I attended the chamber meeting. I had to leave early because of other obligations that day, but things are moving ahead there. And also spent a day with Mr. Grant and Mr. Gebhardt doing some orientation, and Superintendent Exelon doing some orientation, trying to get Mr. Gebhardt ready to come and set up here his first day and say, well, I know where the seat is. There's a lot to learn in this role too, and we're happy to walk that road with you. We welcome you. The other thing, I guess, just real quick, is as a report today, obviously we didn't have school, but I know I was out driving around and I saw our maintenance and operations folks out working very hard. We got here tonight for our meeting. The lot's cleared, sidewalks are cleared. Same with the schools. They were out pushing snow in parking lots and cleaning sidewalks. And I guess just a little extra thanks for them today while everybody got to stay home. Principals, you guys were out, I know, looking for students who maybe didn't get the message. So not everybody got to stay home and stay warm, and I want to make sure that we give them credit for that. So thank you. Next item is Superintendent's Report with Superintendent Exline.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple things to update you on. I've been doing quite a bit on the legislative side recently, and just trying to make sure that we are advocating for the very best education for students who are in public education. I did go to the Chamber Legislative Roundtable and participated in that with other community leaders, and that was a really good event attended by both federal and state lawmakers. I met with as a follow-up to the Smoky Hill Legislative Conference, I did meet with Representative Bloom. I was thankful that Jeff Hayes went with me. Lisa Peters helped prepare some information. We went to Clay Center and we actually met with their superintendent and assistant superintendent and business director, and the two of us and Representative Bloom to just talk about special education funding. And it was really good for me to hear the questions because that helps me communicate better with the field. I am working on scheduling meetings with our legislators to go over the Salina Public Schools legislative platform, and hope to meet with them when I'm in Topeka, perhaps even next week. And the other thing that we've really been working on, and Lisa's been helping with this, is compiling the excess cost for special education. One of the issues that we're facing is there was a spreadsheet that was shared with the legislators that showed excess cost, and the way it was figured was using the formula that actually allocates money at the state level, and that allocation doesn't really work when you move it to the local level. And so it showed a wide variance in the percent of excess cost for special education that is being provided by the state and federal government. So we are working on a spreadsheet that shows our cooperative and how much federal money we get, how much state money we get, and then how much local money is put into special education on an expenditure basis so that it's very obvious what percent each one of those entities is providing for special education. As you know, the state law is that the state is to cover 92% of excess cost. And right now, we're covering about 35% in Salina. And so we're working on trying to go through the budget documents of the other cooperative districts to make sure that we've got those figures and can provide that to the state. Had a good conversation with the folks in the finance department at the state, and they actually reached out to me late last week asking if we had it ready to go because they're wanting to use that. The unique thing about our particular cooperative is that we have a district as large as Salina, and what's our smallest one, Jeff? Rural Vista, how many kids? Little. A couple hundred, little. So we have a wide variance in our cooperative. And so anyway, that'll be an interesting conversation when we have that data ready to go, and I'll share that with you. Other things to share, we did have Credit Union of America and Project Teacher are great community partners for us. They provided, right before winter recess, they provided school supplies for every single student at Huesner Elementary School. They do one elementary school a year, and so that was a really fun event. I also was able to go to Lakewood to an intensive reading graduation. And if you don't know, we do provide reading services to students that are two or more grade levels below when they get to middle school and high school. And the teacher at Lakewood is having tremendous success in getting students on grade level to where they can exit the program. And so that was a great celebration, and I was just really excited to be part of that. Also wanted you to know our letters training is getting ready to kick off. We have a tremendous number of teachers that have agreed to do that on their own time, and I'm really proud that they are willing to take that on. That's 150 hours of equivalent of training for each one of those modules. That's a huge lift, and we had over 80 teachers that decided to do that, and so that's a huge celebration because that really will help them learn how to teach reading to non-readers, to kids when they're very, very young. Ann, did you have a question for me?
What does LETTERS stand for?
Oh, I just did Module 1 today, and I don't know that answer, Ann, which means I didn't take good enough notes. Shanna, do you know?
We could bounce this one around and we could go to Krista. It's literacy. I don't know what letter stands for.
I don't know. I'll get that to you. And I was surprised
Okay,
that
the
it
$1 million
meant something.
question. Anybody in the audience?
Okay.
I can tell you that I attended a couple workshops at the conference, and this is the best teaching how to read program out there. It runs through Pitt State, is that right? Pittsburgh State is kind of the facilitator in Kansas.
Yeah, there are some, and Smoky Hill is going to be partnering with us. Did you find it? What is it?
Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling.
I would have never gotten that. And so there's a lot to learn for Lynn X Line 2. So I actually did do Module 1 today, and it was great information. So then the last thing that I wanted to share with you is that Jennifer, Cammie, and I are going to do a National School Public Relations Association's training on communicating in, so here are a couple of the titles of the sessions. One is your district brand telling the right story? Another is leading and communicating in polarized times. Another is the public relations, human resource connection, staff recruitment and retention. And so we're going to commit a tremendous amount of time to doing this training and making sure that we are communicating in the very best way to put Salina Public Schools' best foot forward and to try to build our skills a little bit there. So I'm excited about that opportunity. And I was really excited that Jennifer said yes when I asked her if she wanted to do that with me. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Would it be possible for you to get back with us?
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education go into executive session at 6:20 for 15 minutes for the purpose of discussing the evaluation of non-elected personnel. because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed, and that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at 6:35 in the SEC room.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Gardner seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll be moving to executive session. We are back from executive session, and there is no action from that executive session, but we will be moving into the work session for the remainder of our evening, so we'll be stopping the live stream and going over our school evaluations. Thank you.